Rugger Muffin Podcast. This is X reacting to rugby. Let's just get a few things out the way. This is not a live show. All right. This is pre-recorded, but do drop your comments as you usually do at the bottom. We will interact with you over there. And what a weekend of rugby starting on Thursday. If you're a Springbok fan, you're probably going to have a good week. Those weeks have started where there's excitement. The coffees are going to be a lot warmer at work tomorrow. There's just going to be a lot of more chatter around the canteen, a lot of banter going around the workplace. This started all on Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, we did have the junior Springboks taking on Georgia, which, as I anticipated, I did know that that was going to be one of the most challenging games that those junior Boks are going to go through in these group stages. Georgia being the host of this junior World Junior Championship, going down to Wales in their first game. They were banking on beating the junior Boks for them to continue to have hope to make it through to the next round. But obviously, with them fighting, they fought. They fought very well. They're number 11. I thought putting in a lot of big tackles. I wrote a few notes over here with that game. Emotional from the Georgians. If you thought Argentina can be emotional during a national anthem, check out those Georgian boys. Allegedly, they're all 19, 20 years old because they are playing in an under 20 tournament. But if you have a look at some of those boys, massive. Some of them don't even have hair anymore. Hairlines are receding. Georgia's defense was pretty cool. We found ourselves having to resort to grabber kicks. I don't know if this is a perfect time to probably add this question, but did we need Ethan Adams in that game? Marcus Muller at 12, was he the guy to do it? What's fun though, while we're talking about this game, that game ended up being 33-5. A trend that we're going to start seeing when we talk about the Springboks in general is that we're going to give the opposition a lot of props, even though we're going to have quite a scoreline towards them. 33-5 it was between the junior Boks. 2 tries by Siposetu Nebelele. Obviously, we had to sort of lean towards our set piece. But I want to bring your attention, just as we were about to start recording, the junior Boks also dropped their team that will be playing on Tuesday, the 7th of July, against Wales. We do see Yakin Ahmed coming back at 10. Now, Luan Khilumi was at 10, got a few knocks against Georgia. We were a bit rattled there. Alzid and Felix only came on officially, obviously, after doing the medical sort of needs that he needed to do. Obviously, Luan leaving the field, he had to come run the game for a bit. I think Alziden got about 10 minutes of the game, but Alziden finds himself back at fullback, Yakin at number 10, and then Ethan Adams I felt we should have kept Ethan Adams for playoffs. It does look like Ethan Adams is carrying a niggle. I hope he finishes this game. Ethan Adams is back at 12 with Samuel Bedenhost at 13. Marcus Muller is at number 22 with Gertkamp also joining in on the bench there. Those are the couple of changes. Rusima Kosa coming back. Luke Cannon retains his jersey there. Vuyo Guiji at 8. Donnie Kruger. We're going to chat about Donnie Kruger just now when we start talking about loose heads. We're going to talk about Donnie, or rather tight heads. But yeah, just wanted to add that the junior Bok team that will take on Wales is out already. Literally dropped 2 minutes before we started recording. Exciting times, a little bit of something just to distract you during the week. I looked forward for that Thursday game because when Rasi releases a team on Monday, Saturday is just too far. I don't know how you guys feel about this. It's always cool, it's always like a gimmick, gets us talking, but you stop talking by Wednesday because now you have to wait for Thursday for the opposition to release their team. This weekend, we had a couple of games. Women Boks took on the USA. The Springboks took on England. We have this new tournament called the Nations Cup. I don't know how all of you feel, Muffins. I don't know how the Muffins are feeling about this tournament. I was watching the All Blacks versus France. Now, what I've learned that's special
Nations
about
Championship, ne? Not
is it Nations
Cup.
Championship?
Yeah, Nations Championship.
Let's talk about that as well. Does World Rugby need to get a little bit more creative with how they name their tournaments? You can't continuously use the same words, just juggling the order for us to remember which one is which. I mean, there's the European. Everything has got championship. Everything has got championship. Can we move away from championship, guys? Literally, I think It's part of the reason why we find it so slow to catch on to new tournaments, catch on to new formats. And I wanted to
And
touch on this
you're
whole,
not the only one, X. Rasi also struggled with the name earlier in the week
yeah,
in one of the pressers. So,
yeah. It's really, yeah, it's really mind-boggling to sort of keep track of everything. This Nations Championship, you say, yeah? North versus South,
yeah.
a concept that literally it's like in the background when it's international window, right? Because obviously it's the touring, we are going to play the North. But now we've got this tournament that's kind of pinning us together while pinning the South together as well. How is everyone feeling with the format? Because I found myself in a bit of a predicament earlier. Now, obviously, this is particular to the All Black game because we are playing the All Blacks' greatest rivalry. So we are keeping an eye to the All Blacks. I wasn't sure now if I should be backing the All Blacks to beat France. I was a little bit. It was easy for me for Australia. I really wanted Australia to beat Ireland. I was chuffed to see what Japan did to Italy. What an upset over there. Italy looked like they didn't want to play rugby at all. Seeing all of these results here, it was beautiful. Fiji's greatest rivalry is Fiji. Fiji should start a tournament against Fiji, and they must play each other 4 times and see who wins. Because there's no way that Fiji, those knock-ons, how many 22-meter entries did Fiji have? But big ups to Wales. Wales in are they is it the return of Wales? Wales, I think, apart from Japan, this is now they haven't beaten. I mean, they haven't beaten Fiji since the World Cup, haven't they? They've only just been beating Japan. So well done to Wales, making a resurgence. Dini, let us know quickly. You were at the Springbok versus England game. How were the vibes over there? How was everything at the stadium? Was it 21,000 people at the stadium? Was it a little bit more than 21,000?
Before we get there, I'm thinking of this name issue, but I didn't want to disturb you. As you know, you're the rugby guy here. I'm just a technical guy. Does this now mean the rugby championship is gone? The 4 teams, the 4 southern teams, Springbok,
No,
Australia, New Zealand, and Argentina. Is it still there?
it's there, but it's gonna rotate according to the. So every time there's a greatest rivalry tour, there will not be
Okay.
a rugby championship.
Oh, okay.
From what I
So we
from what I
don't have it
understand.
this year.
We don't have it this year. We are going to play Argentina though after these 3 tests. I'm not. I think we play Argentina before we go play those 4 tests against New Zealand.
Okay. So my experience, it was a great experience. So this is how they refer to what's this place called where we were, Ellis Park. They call it the spiritual home of South African rugby. I won't say it was a spiritual experience, but
Okay.
I could see why people can take it as a spiritual experience. For a rugby fanatic, a ragamuffin, because some people say that's what ragamuffin means. It would be a spiritual moment for you. It's so crazy. When I spoke to a couple of people after the game. The other guy said he traveled from Robert Sobukwe.
Mauritius. Yes, I
Robert
saw that.
Sobukwe, which was called Graf Reinet. They are still fighting
Okay.
that, those Bure there.
Okay.
And then there was a guy who said he came from Portugal. And a
Yes, I saw
family
that.
that said they came from Mauritius. So it's a spiritual pilgrimage for some. The atmosphere was electric though. Brilliant facilities. Man, it was an experience that every rugby fan needs to be a part of.
The first World Cup that we win, where was that game played?
The final was
It's,
played at Ellis Park. Joe Stransky scored it
there we
there.
go.
Sia also mentioned it in one of his press briefings during the week, saying that Ellis Park always has special moments. But
He
it
said
was,
something.
yeah,
He said something that I wasn't sure how I should feel about it. He said that's where the dreams were born. He said that
his
final.
dream, that final inspired or sparked something in him.
Or for him,
So
not necessarily. Okay.
Ellis Park has a special place in him, but he also said that it is now their duty to create such memories and moments to inspire the next generation, their children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what Ellis Park means to South African rugby fanatics.
Is that why the prices were what they were?
Okay.
And
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 yes,
to follow that up, so I saw an article saying that SA Rugby has warned the fans that what happened with these ticket sales will not happen all the time.
yeah,
And I
because
feel like
they might wait a bit and want to buy tickets on Thursday or Friday, if fans.
there we go.
But
But I
they
think
created this, so
they have.
it's in
They
their
have. I
hands
was
to
about to say.
fix. Yeah, so we don't know how they're gonna approach it, but it was full capacity. Well, 52,000 and
Somewhat
something, and it looked
close enough.
full. From where we're sitting, it looked full. I think we do have an image here somewhere to just show what was happening during the game. Let's see if we can bring it in here.
I mean, I think 50 anything thousand people would look way better than 21,000 on that stadium. Looking at the players when they were running out, right here, if you're looking at this image now on the foreground, obviously the tunnel is there with that green mat there. Looking from the camera, you could still see patches of red,
Nah,
which
man, X man, it was full, man.
no,
Look,
I'm judging as because you were there, right? You are seeing
I
where
was
you are
there. It
seeing
was
on the
full.
other side.
It was full.
Yeah,
I can even try to zoom in. Okay, yeah. You're talking
I
from.
was at home. I was at home looking through the camera. So I'm looking at what the camera was showing me, which was technically where you were sitting. And if the tunnel was on this side now, the side that's now we're being shown, if the tunnel was there, then I would be sold that it was sold out because that looks
No,
super
it was
packed.
full. Cause yeah, the my vantage point was from the tunnel side, and I'm looking at the other side. I think it's the east side because the tunnel is on the west side. So I'm looking at the east side. This is what you're seeing here. This is the
Yeah.
east side of the stadium. Packed, packed, packed. Yeah, it was a great atmosphere.
But so a point I wanted to make during the week that I sort of refrained from making, which I think I could make now, with the ticket sales. I don't know if I probably mentioned it on my stories as well. There were two games that were being played at Ellis Park this past weekend. There were two Springbok teams taking on. One was taking on the USA and one was taking on England. And I think maybe that's a point that SA Rugby could have sort of jumped on as well and be a little bit. I'm not going to say a little bit hostile, but a little bit forthcoming about the fact that let's not forget that the women Springbok team, who are quarterfinalists, are also playing on this field, and that ticket allows you. And I mentioned that because when that game kicked off, empty,
Yeah.
empty stadium. Um,
It's so unfortunate, X, because it was such a gutsy performance from the Springbok
very
women,
much.
especially the first half. Man, they were running riot there. Those ladies had their hearts on their sleeves. It was a brilliant performance.
Ruck speed. I mean, the pick and goes, the aggressive carries from our number 12, Upwemgwevu. I mean,
Yeah,
now what
she
stood
was a
out for
standout.
me,
And with that
yeah, what
body, the way she plays,
yeah, 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 conditioning. Two things I want to touch on. Jumped out for me when I saw the team. Obviously, is Ayanda Malinga, who was running
yes,
at 13,
number
who
13. Yeah, she's
is
usually a wing,
yeah,
right?
yes, speedster. She generally plays sevens as well, so she'll have some sevens. I had a chat with her when we went to go watch the women train at St. John's, and I kind of assumed that she was injured because that knee was pretty strapped up, the right knee.
It was still strapped up
Asking,
yesterday. Yeah,
yeah, asking her how does it feel, and she's like, no, look, if I warm it up, it's fine. Like it's nothing too hectic. But it was great to see her being utilized at 13. It's great to see the sort of innovation that the coach is bringing. The coach also mentioned in the press conference that one thing they wanted to test is the conditioning. So seemingly they've put a lot of work in the conditioning. They wanted those USA ladies to run around and see if they could keep up. I do want to add though, the women Springbok team in the second half sort of died down a little bit. I think all 21 of those points by USA. I think USA scored one try before halftime and then two in the second half, if not all three in the second half. But the Springbok women sort of took their foot off the pedal a little bit. And then obviously, I mean, they were trying. I mean, they were still having efforts to get into the 22, and then there'll be like a penalty or a knock on, there'll be an infringement, and then they lose that possession again. But obviously, closing it off. Um, Closing it off. So, my question was then, was that fitness or complacency? Because I'm inclined to think it's not fitness. Because if the coach if that was one of the, it's either the coach then got the answer that the team is not as fit as he thought or they thought it is, or the team just felt complacent and they thought that game will continue to be easy and they'll run away with it. But obviously, the main game, not necessarily the main game, but the big game that has been advertised since last year. Now, this is
Hold on,
at the
X.
time.
Let's acknowledge the women. There was a standout
Yeah.
player, number 8. I think she had 2 tries in the first half.
Yes.
I
That
just
is
forgot her
Logan
name.
Wellman. Logan
Yes,
Wellman.
Logan. Brilliant
Logan
performance
Wellman.
in the first half. As I was
Yeah.
saying, I couldn't watch the second half. I had to go out and talk to some fans. But for me, she was the standout player in the first half.
She probably did get so
Hat trick.
when I arrived, so when I was at the training again, chatting to JJ Herms, it's the guy that I obviously had to communicate with
Yes.
to actually get access there. Very nice. First thing I want to touch on, very, very welcoming, very, very, very calm,
Very accommodating. Very much so.
accommodating environment. The women training, I mean, you could literally, I was chatting with some of the ladies there, like freely, there was no fuss. But with that being said, chatting to JJ, that was one player that he said, listen, look out for the number 8. She's young. I think she's 19 or 20,
Whew,
that lady.
she stood out, man.
So, yeah, a lot of talent. The roof is very high for Logan.
Hold on. I
Tall,
need to give some information. Do you know who she plays for? I've
Western
got a
Province.
booklet. Oh, she plays for DHL, right? But she stood out. She stood out for me. I only watched the first half, but
Yeah.
she took my attention.
Yeah, no. 100%. She played well, and it's great because then us as a Hele can then understand that she can be rested a little bit. I kind of this how the women box really play in terms of that go forward ball. Very dependent. Obviously, Uboy when she was still playing the captain who played lock.
Yeah.
Us as a Hele, Ulacha. Obviously, the women Springbok team get a lot of momentum from the sort of the strong carries, and I think now having a lot more personnel that can do that for you, you can then also play a welfare, right? You can then rest this one, give this one a go, so that the bodies can also recover. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
as they
big ups, yeah,
age, they take longer to recover, right? You're a fitness guy, you know
yeah,
these things.
no, 100%. But we need to move swiftly. There was a Nations Championship. We already touched on the Nations Championship. We touched on the format of it. Obviously, North versus South. Crazy thing about this now, if the final was being played this coming weekend, Wales will be playing the final against South Africa. That is how the log currently sits. Wales are number 1 in the north, followed by I think they're followed by Ireland, and then they're followed by Wales. Well, the other team that won this three northern teams won. Scotland, yep, Scotland are third, and then England is ranked number 6, and then on the other side, the Springboks obviously are number 1, followed by the All Blacks, followed by the Japan, who beat Italy this past weekend. A game that, I mean, I'm not going to touch too much about with all these games, guys. We've got so much time, but I just want to add this about the Australian game and say I never thought Ben Donaldson had it in him to take that kick. I just felt like that's something important for me to say. I don't know who the kicker is with Australia. Tom Wright would have probably been a better guy to go for, but Ben Donaldson, I don't see him as the guy that takes a match-winning kick and kicks it over, which is how the Australians lost. Fiji, again, like I mentioned, worst. They are their own worst enemy. Springboks. We need to get onto this game here. 45 points to 21. Now, the storyline with this game would have been, if we had played it last year before the Six Nation, it would have been the two sort of top teams in the world going to see who's the best. England coming out of an unbeaten sort of run. Obviously, Springboks doing what they did to the All Blacks in Wellington and beating Ireland with 14 men and beating France with 14, all of that. But England just had to go have the poorest Six Nation they could ever have at the beginning of the year. And now we sit with the fixture that we had this weekend. Now, this fixture, more than anything, for me, it then started being about the Springboks not repeating what they did the last time they played at Ellis Park. Did you at any point feel like the Springboks would have won or lost this game, or rather lost the game? Um, I'll answer and say no. Personally, I don't think so. But unlike what happened
But
between,
it was different for the fans at Ellis Park. That's how they felt. I spoke to 2 gentlemen from Pretoria who said it was giving that vibe from last year because we were leading 17-0, right? And then these guys caught up. It was 17-14. And last year, we were not leading 22-21-0, and
Yeah.
Australia came back.
Yeah. For me, it just screams that those individuals don't have a lot of faith on the doctor that's at the helm. I think the point I was trying to make with these comparisons that was the storyline. I think for us, I don't think we could have leaned on anything about England. We could only lean on the fact that I felt yes, we kind of use that as a threat, but it can also hurt us, which then goes to the game plan that we subsequently played. The kicking, obviously, just to preserve energy. Now, if I was gonna, a moment that would have probably made me feel like we're gonna lose this game is the moment that Australia had against Ireland, where Ireland went and scored from their own line, just running, and you could see that that was their goal. They just wanted to make sure they score last before halftime. That's a mental shift. I like that we didn't allow Ireland to do that. I mean England to do that, and even on the second half, we were the first ones to score through that Grant Williams try. And I think as long as we had that one up on them, I don't think they would have enough belief to think that they could do it at Ellis Park. That's just me. And also, I was laying in bed watching. I'm not too sure what game it was. I think it was Wales versus Fiji, and I get a message from a mate on Instagram asking me whether these news were true. I don't know what you were doing, Dini, at the stadium, but when these news came out that Sia Kolisi and Eben Etzebeth were pulling out, or rather, were not going to be playing this game, what was going on at the stadium? When and where did you find out about those news?
So I was sitting in the press room or media center next to a couple who run a website called Ragas.
Okay.
.co.za. So we struck a relationship there, obviously because of the name. I think that was just after the Springbok women match had ended or during halftime. I think it was halftime actually. Halftime Springbok women match. That's when it came out. And then I subsequently heard that Furbank was also out with an appendicitis issue.
Yes.
Yeah, so people were talking about it, and we were trying to figure out who's coming in, who's gonna be captain, and then the news came about a bit later, but didn't have much impact on the game. I don't think. Rassi also touched on it in the post match conference. But there's a concern.
Did it feel like there was a real emergency, or was that something that was planned?
Well,
I'm
in the
creating a bit of
post match,
conspiracy here.
they had known for a while, I think, about either Sia or Eben. One of them, I think Rassi said they had found out on Thursday.
Eben.
Was it
Yeah,
Eben?
Eben had a head knock on Wednesday or Tuesday, and then Sia's hamstring was on Friday. Allegedly.
Yeah. So they found out about Eben on Thursday, and they knew that he won't be coming in. So Sia a day before. So maybe they're just trying to manage the emotions, and then there was also the ticket sales thing. So maybe if you know these guys that can really rally behind and motivate the
Yeah.
Springboks are not going to feature in such a crucial match of a serious competition, it would have maybe dampened down the spirits of the fans.
Sure. No, 100%. But look, touching just on the game, brilliant start from the Springboks. I mean, we're going to say all the popular things right now. Obviously, brilliant start, first 20 minutes, scoring 3 tries, and then England coming back, scoring their tries. Second half comes back in. What's crazy, I've been listening a lot to the to the England pundits. Because for me, I just wanted to figure out, are England going up, and was that an upward trajectory for them? And it kind of seems like it's not. Borthwick under a lot of pressure. In 6 games, England have gotten 1 red card and 10 yellow cards in 6 games, including this game this past weekend, where they got 2 yellow cards in that last 10 minutes, which is where we also went on to score 14 points
And
in those last 10 minutes.
Jamie did mention the issue of discipline in the post-match conference.
Yeah.
Jamie George, he says, yeah, we seem to be struggling there, and it's something that I think he had raised with his fellow teammates.
Yeah, so from that perspective, and then in terms of just gameplay, I think also maybe just a bit of selection issues. I felt like Henry Slade had a bit of firepower when he came on. A very experienced head in the team. Yeah, but no, look, good game, a good game to start. And again, a lot of people are gonna have a lot of. I was watching the game with a lot of people on TikTok, so I did a TikTok live. I had a couple of people watching with me, and there was a Springbok, there was a New Zealand fan there who's now a friend of mine. We're not really going at each other like that, but he was very frustrated by how we continue to play when England only had 13 men on the field. 15 against 13, and yet we were still just doing the same sort of box kicking and whatnot. And for me, how I tried to explain it to him is so many ways you can go about it. We also have a World Cup where a team is probably going to play only one or two if you're lucky, but most probably only one challenging game before you find yourself in round of 16 or find yourself in the quarterfinal. And the reason I bring that up is that I think teams, and I think what Rossi is trying to do is to make sure that these guys do not get gullible. You hear them a lot talk about when they talk about that Australian fixture last year. They'll talk about how we went off script, which is the reason why they ultimately lost that game. For me, it also sounds like when you're saying that, you're saying when you're seeing opportunities that you didn't plan for, when you're seeing a lot of holes, and when you're seeing a lot of things that were not in the script, don't be too eager, too easy to just go with that, because you will lose the pattern. You're going to lose what you're trying to do, and it won't help us in improving how we execute should we get into a more challenging game. And in this case, it will be the greatest rivalry. I'm convinced that all that we're doing right now is getting ready for the greatest rivalry. We're building up our game plan again. And I think that's another thing that us as fans need to understand is that you are not going to see from game one a complete Springbok performance. Springboks build up. Again, I think what we're being shown here, a lot of carries, guys. Whoa. Zachary Porthen. The carry by Zachary Porthen, I think I dreamt about it as well. I promise you, I probably did. Zachary Porthen's carry, Oxen Chair's carry, I'll take it further. Donnie Kruger's carry, Rambo Kubeka, they're the junior box. We've got these sort of young, mobile, scrummaging, strong props coming in. And I think it was more of that. How do we get that pattern going? And then we'll bring the backline in. But again, not to ramble too much about this. As always, when we talk about the Springboks, there'll always be injury worries. Oxenchair leaving the game, I think 30 minutes in after a crazy line break. Interesting thing about Ox was strapped up at training on Wednesday, Dini, if you remember. Ox was strapped up on that knee. Ox was not strapped up on Friday. And for me, immediately I thought, were those mind games? Was the strapping actually not necessary? All to find out that maybe that strapping was actually for something, because when the physio came on to then put the strapping onto Ox, according from what I've read, because to me it kind of looked like Ox was told to leave the field. It kind of does look like Ox is the one that told the physio that, hey man, I cannot continue, and then Ox was taken off the field while he was being strapped.
These
Yeah.
injuries in our forward pack, predominantly the locks, does it speak to, I don't know, you're a fitness guy, you should know these things. Does it speak to fitness? Does it speak to our players getting a bit tired because of age? Does it speak to the brutality and the intensity of the forward pack game?
But I mean, let's look at these locks and let's look where they got injured. I don't think these locks, apart from Riley Norton, there's no lock that got injured necessarily because of the Springbok camp or anything like that. Salman Murat has been injured ever since whatever happened at the Stormers, ever since his time for La Rochelle, he's been getting injured. Arges Neyman was with Leinster when that happened. Jean Klein hasn't been part of the setup for the longest time because of injuries. Luot de Jager, I mean, got injured whenever he did play in Japan. I did see Luot de Jager playing in Japan. That is what's confusing me a little bit, because I did see Luot play in Japan, but I guess the Springbok camp don't feel like he's ready for this caliber of rugby, for this test level rugby. So to answer your question, look, many factors, but I don't think these injuries are as a result of anything from the Springbok camp. These are tall, lanky gentlemen. Anything from the hip, ankle affects the knee. And if they're not putting enough attention in strengthening the soft tissue, not necessarily, the muscles all the time, sometimes take care of those tendons, take care of those ligaments, do those boring things that you feel are boring or ladylike, you know, do the Pilates, do the yogas, man, do the stretching,
The
because
ballerina.
yeah, do all that stuff, because they strengthen something, and it may be not a popular thing in rugby, but it may be popular for you because of your needs. But yeah, look, we will end it there. Springbok will be taking on now Scotland in Loftus, Pretoria. I think that game will also be at 17:40. I think
Yeah,
we
same
maintain the
kickoff.
same
Yeah.
time slot. Uh, this is now in Pretoria. Again, we'll do our best during the week to bring you press conferences, training sessions. Will obviously you'll see what we upload. I promise you, we do our best. When we don't, just know something was there. Junior Box playing Wales on Tuesday as well. I think that game is at 6:30. They will be playing their last group stage, or yeah, group stage game before getting into playoffs. The women's Springbok team as well will be taking on USA again as at 1:30 in Loftus again. Same setup as this past weekend in Ellis Park, having a 2-game series there. Hopefully they can get a 2-0 or 2-0 win against the USA. Yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. Things like the Currie Cup Premier Division should be kicking off in about a week or two. First Division Currie Cup has been going as well. Obviously, with this show, a lot of internationals. We couldn't really touch on that. But ladies and gentlemen, until the next video, we out.